Contrast uncut, yeah, you know that's us. Where we only speak the real and the real rock with us. Where we motivate the people and politic on success. Oh no, we ain't DJ Khaled, but they swearing we the best.
What's happening? It's Contrast Uncut. It's season 5. It's episode 41. I want to give a huge shout out to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. It's your host, Xylo, and today we have an incredibly dope special guest. He's from the city of Bear, Delaware, which is about 45 minutes north of Dover, about an hour south of Philly. He currently resides in Los Angeles, California, living the life. He's the definition of a media outlet with a background in music as a passionate recording artist that has translated into his path. He is the CEO of Urban Fierce Group, a world-renowned public relations and marketing company, as well as a media personality and executive producer of several shows, such as On Air with David, Industry Conversations that went from Zoom to Clubhouse, bro, I was fucking with that, and My Fierce Wings Radio. He has interviewed some of the biggest celebrities there are in the game, as well as so many legends in the industry behind the scenes, those dot connectors, and he understands how this whole spectrum works. This brother is one of the people that I look up to in the industry. And if you don't know who I got on the show by now, it's all good. We get all episode of Chop It Up with David Duane. How you doing, King?
Wow, I'm great. Thank you for that intro, for knowing the history from being from Delaware, then to industry conversation, to all of that. And the fact that I'm in Los Angeles now, definitely appreciate it.
No, all love, all love. Time's the most finite thing we have on this earth. I got to tell you from the jump how much I appreciate your time, rocking with me, rocking with the viewers. Thank you.
Of course, listen, I always reach back out to people who support me. I tell people all the time, just shoot me an email, you know what I'm saying? And that's the quickest way to get to me. So I'm glad we were able to set this up. So thank you for the opportunity.
Boom, and we're here. So David, brother, what's a normal 24 hours for you?
Ooh, 24 hours. It depends on which day. We're talking about the weekend or the weekday.
I want a highlight day. Because a lot of people think that the highlight that they see on social media or what they see from the imprints of the work that you do, everyone thinks that, they could just say what they want from the couch, but don't know the distance traveled to arrive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot of highs and lows, you know what I'm saying? So 24 hours really is utilized to the max. People say we all have the same 24 hours, but it's all about how you utilize it. So I'm very big on that. I am a 24/7 person. I sleep during a few hours in the middle of the morning, and then I'm back up by 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it's been kind of weird getting used to that being in LA now, because it's literally, okay, 2-3 hours I'll go to sleep, and then it's okay, we're up, let's get to these emails, let's do some pitches for our clients, or let's also make sure that we're scheduling the sessions for my event where I'm, have to get in with the band, or, I have to make sure that I'm, camera ready to do an interview for my show, or if I'm doing something with Good Day DC or a Fox Soul or something like that. So it's really about pushing, and just being able to balance all of those things in one day can be very difficult. But I tell people all the time, anything that's worth it, you would give it your 1000%. And that's definitely what I do. So I'm constantly juggling between everything. But I set my days aside too, like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, I really focus on my show. Well, actually Thursday, not Wednesday. So anything on camera wise, I'll do it on those days. Those are blackout days. I don't want nobody, asking me about this interview, you got it. It's in your calendar. Thank you very much. Let me focus on Air with David Duane. And then the rest of the week just really balances everything out. The weekends, I'll prep for top of the week. So either I take Saturday or Sunday to prep for Monday. And so whatever has to go on Monday or just that week in a whole, we just prep, or I do my filming for my show and stuff like that. So, you really got to utilize your 24 hours very wisely, because you can get a lot accomplished. And for me also, which people don't understand, is anytime I get a thought, I'm always let me send this email. Let me do this in this moment. So, I love my 24 hours because it can be really crazy, but it's dope though.
See, now you've elevated me on wanting to ask the question, what's a normal 168 hours? And no, you broke it down already. You broke down the whole week.
Yeah, I gave you the full week, and honestly, like that's what it takes. You got to really utilize your week. You know, it's beyond just the day. It starts with it starts with those first couple of seconds, then goes into minutes, then it goes into hours, then it goes into days, and then it goes into a full week. So, excuse me, it's just all about utilizing your time wisely.
Oh yeah, be effective, compartmentalizing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't think a lot of people know how to do that aspect. People talk the talk, but they don't know how to walk and talk. And that's the biggest problem that I've found.
You know, they got this thing called a car, and then they said Bluetooth in there. And so we're able to talk and drive. I don't think no one's trying to walk and talk anymore.
No.
No, but in all honesty, you're absolutely right. So many people run away from accountability. We see that countless time and time again. And that's something that where people have to understand, if you want to walk the talk, you got to put the work in to walk so that talk you say holds water.
Mm-hmm. Accountability is a big thing too. I think as I'm getting older, next year I'll be 29. So I'm realizing that people younger, older, just in all ages of life, they don't want to hold themselves accountable. It's like, I don't understand why you guys want to point fingers and stuff like that, but not be like, okay, this is what I could have done better. And this was literally like a conversation that I had last night versus everybody being like, oh, well, they didn't do this. They didn't do this. Well, how could you have helped the situation? Can you take accountability if you're supposed to be the head of leadership? You know, it's these questions that people have to ask themselves before they start to ask the following questions, as I call it.
Absolutely. You know, the first thing that should always be asked in those situations is, what could you have done differently? And then you could start having those spider webs connections to connect to the root of the issue. Because, you know, everyone's actions definitely, they got to think about, you got to reflect. A lot of people think just because I move on to the next moment, that other moment doesn't exist. And it still weighs for other people. It has a reaction to it.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has a reaction to it.
I got a quote, brother. Let me know how this quote relates to you. If it doesn't, the idea is I want you to talk about it. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm down.
They make me what I am. Hold on, let me run that back. I totally fucked that up. My bad.
It's all good.
They ain't make me what I am. They just found me like this. Drake.
Run that back one more time.
Yeah, see, even I said in this, it was right. It was right the second time, but even though it was so smooth. They ain't make me what I am. They just found me like this. Drake.
I feel like I can definitely relate to that because I feel like as a person, people have always doubted me. And people have always also thought the best of me too. So there's always been two sides. I always want to be those people to be like, yeah, I know you can do it. And then those people that are like, no, you can't do it. And in those moments, for those who said that I couldn't do it, come back and be like, oh, I knew he could do it. I knew that this was what he could do, but it was like, or I didn't know that you had it in you. Yes, that's true. Nor did I. God did. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not all privy to how certain things are going to work out during the process. So even when I think about people making comments to relate to why Drake could, you know, say a quote like that, I think back to my own self and be like, well, damn, I didn't even know. Because you don't know what you're fully capable of until you actually get into the race and actually work your skill set. Me personally, that's what I feel when I hear that quote.
You know, I feel a lot of what he's talking about and how it relates to us is that a lot of the time people, like I said earlier, they want to be from the couch talking and they don't realize what it takes what makes what you're looking at. And, you know, you just found me for what I am, but you're not realizing what it built to have this onion layer skin to arrive for me to have this conversation.
Right. Which takes a lot of hard work. You know, like people think that I could just hop on IG Live and talk to a Guap Dad 4000 and it's just like, oh my goodness. Or if I go to an event and I see a Brandy, or if, you know, they think that all of this stuff come so easy, but there was a lot of hard work that got me to this point. And then still, still get told no to this very single day. And I might have already spoken to everybody's favorite, you know what I'm saying, on my show, but still get told no, because there's a lot of people that do envy certain things about you. And it may not be necessarily you personally. It may just be the fact that they see something in you that they aren't capable of doing. So they are mad at themselves. So it becomes a deeper layered thing. So I try to tell people all the time, don't be mad at naysayers and people who don't want to, you know, let's just be frank, fuck with you, because they don't fuck with themselves deep down inside. They find their own demons. So you got to be easy on yourself and be easy on them and just continue to go harder. I like how I said that.
That was hard. You dropped some bars right there. You was rapping. And, you know, something to just add in there is that, you know, a no has two variables to it. A no means it's not right now, or a no means it's not for you. And you can't be
not right
wrong
now is
with
what
the
I
no.
tell people.
Like, you know, shoot, personally, shout out Guap Dad. I fuck with Oakland. Like, you feel me? I fuck with the town heavy. But I'm still waiting for Sam to give me the green light. It is what it is.
Sam, if you're watching this, give my boy the green light.
But at the same time, like, you know, something I do want to have like, you know, I watch Swain in the morning. He be like having the ow moment. And your ow moment is, bro, you go to you're blessed to be at the festivals doing media coverage. And, you know, everyone knows who you are. They get excited to come get your energy. And that's something where people don't realize that not everyone can be inside the Essence Festival.
No,
that's one of them gems that, like, hey, that's almost like a diamond, you know, 5-carat diamond you walking around with that lanyard. Do you hear me?
Right. You know, and I even I forget even about those experiences. So thanks for even bringing that up. So like, it's crazy. My first Essence experience was the wildest, because I was also with a client. So I was representing Day 26 at the time, but I was also supposed to be covering for My First Wings Radio. But guess what didn't get the cover? What did not happen? My First Wings got no coverage because I was too busy being the publicist in that moment. And I mean, every year after that, like if you go to like MFWE on YouTube and stuff like that, we're currently changing the name. So I don't know when people will see it, but it'll probably still be MFWE. But if you look it up, we've got coverage from different interviews with Chloe Holly before, you know, people really have started to love them the way that they are. Like, I'm so proud of those girls. There's Tank interviews. There is, you know, Eric Bellinger interviews from those particular moments, but also having those prior relationships to everything in that hard works makes a lot of these experiences so much easier, because being in those press rooms, be like, oh, can I get an interview? You got to know how to work those rooms.
Right.
Even if you already know the person, you've got to be like, hey, this is what it is, boom, boom, bam, because there's other people trying to get 5 minutes. And even with those festivals, even how it usually works is they will try to rotate them, and they will have designated spots, just like they do with like the NBA and stuff like that. They set it up at the Mercedes Stadium in New Orleans. Love New Orleans. Funny thing enough, New Orleans is like the first place that I ever traveled to on a plane. So to even to be in New Orleans, to even experience something as iconic as the Essence Festival was amazing. But then to have moments where it's like you cover Hot 97 Summer Jam, but then you get a chance to cover one of Beyonce's biggest tour, the Formation Tour. It's like,
come on, there's levels to this.
it's levels, but like I said, in these moments, I'm thinking about it because I don't remember until we have these conversations. So, you know,
the most beautiful part about this is that, you know, it's like I learned this from Jay White did it. He's done a lot of production, you know.
Shout out to Jay White.
You know, and his biggest thing is there's more hits on the way. Like this number one was great. Bodak Yellow was great, but I need another one. And, you know, and he got another one, and he got another one. You know, he continues to run it up. And it's the same thing whatever you do in life. You just don't want to settle for one thing. You want to settle for a master goal, but have many goals on the way up. And then, you know, it's nice when you can have days to reflect, because we are still constantly trying to grow every day. We're trying to progress daily. We practice the progress.
Right.
So I got to know, talking about the entertainment industry, did the game choose you or did you choose the game?
I chose the game and I really got my feet wet. I chose entertainment at an early age. I started off as a dancer, modern jazz, ballet, hip hop, 1 year of tap. And I just saw those Folgers commercials growing up. And I was like, oh, they tap dancing? I want in. I want in. And then it was not even just those commercials, but it was just the fact that Michael and Prince were just played as I was a kid. My dad was in the band. He played the guitar. So, and my mom says it all the time. Shout out to my mom. That I would go crazy every time they would play Prince's Let's Go Crazy. So I think from just growing up in a household where music was definitely there, really inspired the rest. Funny enough, my brother is a rapper. His name is Jay Hayes. He's actually out in LA as well too, out here. And we grew up totally separate. He grew up in Pittsburgh. I grew up in Delaware. But it's just so amazing to just know how much music can just influence from one person, and you grow up two different parts of, I mean, not really two parts of the world, but just like different cities. And you know, so that's how music and entertainment was chose by me. And then along the way, I was doing my shows. So I was like, oh my goodness, I want to host, because I had such a vibrant personality like I do now. So this personality that everybody has seen and get a chance to know if they don't already know me was already something that was there at like 5-6 years old. And I was like, you know what? I would be badass if I could host a radio show. And for those who are so young, we used to have cassette players and cassette tapes, and we would be recording on them damn things. And rest in peace and shout outs to my Aunt Jean. There was one time, her and my grandmother were over my house in Delaware, and I was just up recording on the tape. And that was just like what I love to do. And then that to translate then from middle school to connect with people who were on Diddy's Making the Band once he did Seasons, once he did the band, and then what would became Danny Decane, and then that would come Day 26. I connected with them. So I was in middle school hosting and doing a whole show. And then from there, I went to Valley Forge Military Academy for high school, which is crazy because people wouldn't think that I would go to a military school. But yes, newsflash, I hate to talk about it, but I stayed consistent in wanting to be in entertainment. I was not in any dance classes. I was pissed out of my whole entire life. But once I graduated from high school, I said, you know what? This college thing, it's obviously not working. I auditioned as a dance major. Point Park did not want me. University of the Arts did not want me. Nobody wanted me. And it was fine because I knew that one way or another, I was still going to make it. So even that journey, that I want to say like 11, no. Well, my journey from high school to now this part has been like 11, 12-year journey. So just to really see how went from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, then it got me here, is honestly a true blessing. And
I gotta ask, how much did military school for high school help you in today's entertainment world? Because there is that point where you said from the beginning, you get up early. You still get up 8 o'clock Eastern time, which is 5 a.m. Bro, you on the West Coast, bro. It's okay to say I get up at 5 a.m.
I be trying to get to my damn emails. I want these people to understand, like, if I don't work, I don't get paid. Like, this is for real life.
What they say in the Bible is real. Man don't work, man don't eat.
Yeah, definitely. This is the discipline structure of it. And I think education-wise too, and just having a broader intellect and stuff like that. Because before, another thing that some people don't know, I was in special education classes in like middle school, like elementary and middle school and stuff like that. So they were like, oh, he's got a problem with reading, blah, 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 blah. So that really shaped me in that regard. But just don't ask me to read because I don't want to read y'all a damn thing. But it's helped in so many different fundamentals where, you know, people necessarily weren't too sure as far as like on the education wise. Like I was in like hella tutoring. So it definitely helped. Being able to really focus is the most important thing. Like some people lack being able to focus, being able to multitask, being able to really stay on task. And then what I translate on task to is staying on brand. So it's really helped in a great sense a lot. So I'm grateful for the experience. I did not like the people at all. They were a hot mess, but you know, it was a great experience for what it's worth.
Come on. You know, I've never done military anything. I mean, I've been to jail a few times, but that's as close as I get to having to experience what you may have experienced at military school. But jail defines you. It's either you allow it to become you or you allow it to define you. And
right.
You know, I could
and
definitely.
You have to define it, most importantly. Like you have to define your experiences. You can't let it make you. And that's the biggest thing. Like I try to tell people, don't let like a shirt or a hat or earrings or any type of designer thing or an iPhone. Don't let it make you. You make it. You put the energy towards it and make it go. Not that other stuff.
Absolutely. You dropping fiery gems on this motherfucker. Hey, I do also want to point out, you know, Delaware, they do have talent, man. A lot of people sleep on it. You know, Sap. A lot of people don't know Sap, Sound of a Pioneer. He's from Delaware, and he used to travel to Philadelphia, and he's the reason why Meek Mill got on. He made Meek Mill's first big hits, and then he came on later on to do Victory Lap for Nipsey, and you know, so many other wonderful things. So it's a lot of people don't understand that there is a big principle of energy and talent in Delaware. It's just it has to be one, inspired to know that it's there, and two, to be motivated to bring it out.
There's so much talent. I just think the problem is that there's so many people in Delaware, especially Wilmington, Delaware, which is like the city of Delaware and stuff like that. I think a lot of people try to go for that gutterness, and they try to be a rapper, or they try to be a photographer, they try to model. And it's literally those things. It's like, I'm not shitting on anybody's dream, but y'all got to know that y'all all can't do the same damn thing. Like somebody's got to be different. Somebody's got to be a bold statement. Somebody's got to be like, you know what? I want to be the rock girl. I want to be that dope Black boy that sings alternative. I want to be that dope host. I want to do comedy. I want to be an actor. But being that Delaware doesn't necessarily have a market, especially we don't even have radio. Like we used to have like a radio station called Kiss 101.7 like years ago, but now we don't even have that. It was a part of iHeart. So there was Power 99, which is basically the, you know, South Jersey, Delaware and stuff like that as well too, but that is still rocking. But you know, Delaware doesn't have much. We have amazing venues. Live Nation has the Queen, which used to be World Cafe, which was just World Cafe, both in Philadelphia and in Wilmington. So there's different venues and different opportunities out there. I just highly recommend that if you're an artist anywhere, tapping with your local talent buyers, because these are the ones who are putting these shows together at these different venues, even if they're in-house or out of house. Like there's so much opportunity. Get into these different jazz clubs and theaters. You never know who's there, but there's hella talent in Delaware. I would love to work with somebody in Delaware that's talented.
You know, I want to point out that something I feel that a lot of places lack is resources. And until certain arts and, you know, entertainment resources are made available or privily, you know, all they have is just what they see on the screen, what they want to become. They just see the end result of a video. They see the end result of an interview, an end result of a TV show. They don't realize that it takes 70 people to make a TV show. You know, there's 70 different jobs that can go in. In an interview, there's 6 different jobs that go in. And, you know, we can keep on going down the ladder. No one wants to ask the questions on what other jobs are there from what you want to do. You may not be the best artist, but you may have an ear. You could be
right.
Hear everything that other people can't. You may not convey that gift in your voice, but God gave you ability to hear it. And then you got to use that brain to apply it. And then from there, you could be an A&R. You could be, you know, out there assistant publicist and work your way up as a junior publicist up because you understand music and marketing because you see it differently. And those elements is what you have to embrace because a lot of the time they just see one thing and they don't realize how many different pieces. And that's something, you know, your show, the industry conversation allows people to see people behind the scenes that takes these jobs. And that's privileged information. Those are resources. And those resources are jobs. And that's how you make your dream a reality.
Wow. And thank you for saying that about industry conversation. I know we took a couple months off. We stopped in April, but we're definitely bringing it back for 2022. And that was like the whole, you know, like the whole purpose of it. I was so tired of, and I'll say this candidly, because I have no problem with saying this, but I've always been tired of being that Black guy and that Black man and never being included in these conversations that they are, no shade, having at a Essence Festival, that are having at these different panels and discussions and stuff like that. And I feel like as men, we don't get included in a lot of conversations, but there is knowledge and value in us. Also, I was so tired of seeing the same Black girls. You know what I'm saying? I want to see more of these young Black women or just young women or men of any walks of life, no matter if they're straight, gay, Black, white, whatever, trans. I want them to be a part of the conversation. Not only that, I want them to be able to tell their story. I want them to be able to drop their gems, just like how I like to drop my gems. And I wanted to get people that people would never have thought would be grouped together on a panel. Like I really have crafted some rooms. Like I did a songwriter and producer room that had 7th Streeter, Harmony Samuels, Jay Kicks. And then we did an R&B room that was followed with Sammy, DeMar Jackson. We've had Detavio, who is the CEO of Revolt. We've had a lot of people from BET to BuzzFeed to Billboard to SoundCloud to Vivo. I mean,
to magazines, to publicists, to male and female panels. I mean, everybody. You add just a plethora to an area that's a gray area. And that's something that I feel is something that is, like I said, is privileged to be able to find your resources that you're providing to everybody, because that right there is something that's a missing key. It's a missing link, and that link can connect you. And I appreciate you for providing that, because I'm not going to lie to you. I get interviews from the people that you find, oh, this is this person. I'll DM them, and, you know, and then I will already be in the conversation. So I'm like, oh, this is what their input was. Okay. And then it gives me leadway. And so, you know, this is like phase 4, because then I get to say thank you, even though I'm supposed to do this at the end. But as it organically is growing, I gotta make sure I put that input in, because, you know, industry conversations definitely help me elevate in understanding where to move, because you can get to an artist, but that artist is an access point. I've been blessed to be in meetings where people are they just signed their deal, they're starting to blow up. The first thing they cut off is accessibility.
Yep.
If you're not family, if you're not immediate friends, and you're not a part of this work circle, you can't get access to them unless, you know, it's availability. Other than that, their time is money. Their life has evolved, and you got to, you know, thank them and appreciate them for elevating, because it motivates you, lets you know it's possible. But at the same time,
what we did, and that's what we did it for. We did it for that reason, because a lot of people aren't accessible. So if we put a group of people that people can't get to, I always feel like people are accessible, right? But it's just always about your messaging and your delivery. My mom always told me about your delivery. It's always about your delivery, how you say things to people. You're either going to turn people on or you're going to turn people off. That's what she's always said to me. Even now as a 28-year-old man. And we wanted to just let people know that anything conceivable was possible. Like going back to those 24 hours that you talked about, this last go round, and I think within a whole day time, funny thing enough, I sent like over 300 emails plus reaching out to people. The lists of like names were so deep, to anybody's manager, to anybody's executive that's an A&R, to anybody's songwriter producer, they were all reached out to. If they weren't all emailed, they sure as hell were text in DM. There was a lot. And then there's other people that will come back in the conversation next year. But my biggest thing is, since a lot of people like to have conversations on Clubhouse and Zoom, let's have a real industry conversation. Like, let's not have all this fake, oh, this is how a PR campaign works. This is how verification works. This is when you need a manager. This is, like, this is what songwriters do. All of those rooms were horrible. I'm letting everybody know that I heard practically a lot of them. I wasn't flattered. There's no shade, but it's time to really inform, people of the real conversations that need to be had.
Come on, fill the void.
Fill that void.
Exactly, because that's why I have my shows. I recognize certain questions weren't being asked. It's the same question lines here in this interview, that interview. Some people are very boisterous to ask certain things, and it's like, you're not supposed to go down that road unless your show's designed for that. Sometimes
you can go down that road, but it's all about knowing which road you want to take and letting that lead you into the right direction.
Okay, I like how you said that.
Yeah, because that's what I've always done. I may not have taken the traditional route. Like, I didn't go to college for public relations. I didn't go to college for any of this stuff. I've not gone to college at all. I've taken a few little classes at community college and was playing games. But, like, no matter which road you take, just have a plan and know how to get to where you want to be ultimately.
That's right. And you want to arrive. Don't make a U-turn midway and expect like your life to change. When you make U-turns, you take time off your forward progress.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to know, what was your confirmation that, music, marketing, and, adding that void into how people's responses. You represent so many big companies. And what was your confirmation moment that, hey, this is for me? Would you say it was later on, when you started working with Day 26 and, you developed that route and continue to grow because you continue to add more and more businesses and more artists underneath it? Or would you say it was beyond that when you started to really embrace your show? Or would you say it was back when you were 12 and you started to recognize like, hey, I could do more, and you started to do the events at middle school? Like, what was that defining moment where you was like, that's my confirmation, this is what I'm supposed to do the first time?
Wow. A few moments. I think that big moment for Urban Fierce, and I'll layer each. So I'll go through Urban Fierce, I'll do On Air with Dave, and then I'll just do me as its own entity. Urban Fierce, definitely once we did the 10th year anniversary press for the group, we did everything. We did Billboard, we did MTV, we did BET, we did VH1, we did Vibe, we did Vlad, we did so much shit. We did Tidal. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so much that I did within that campaign run that was so ridiculous that I was like, you know what? You're dope as all hell. And a lot of people would think, oh, it's about the group, and it's no shade, but it's like a lot of when a publicist or your team can secure certain things, yes, that name helps, but when they are great at having great networking skills, they have the assets together, and they know how to carry themselves
and communicate
and be thorough to top to bottom, that's what gets you these opportunities. That's what gets this. That's why these tours get books, because the booking agents are thorough. They have the writers. They have all these things. Everything is checked out. They have the from hospitality to, they just have everything intact. They have the press kits. So that 2017 moment was wow for me. I think now more recently, when we think about On Air with David Duane, was like, wait, what? Because the name started to just elevate a little bit more. And you would think after a person has spoken to Brandy and Ashanti and, you know, like Music Soul Child and Chrisette Michelle and like Mint Condition and the Silk, to, like to High Five, so like to all these different names, to K Michelle, you would think that those moments would hit exactly. Like, they were cool moments. Don't get me wrong. Love them down. Love interviewing them and would love speaking to them again, as you know, as I do follow-ups with some of them. But this year, once we moved everything into the Zoom space and everything was more of this, and then we launched our IG Live series last year, was the whoa moment, because we started doing some interviews where like Sammy, for one, we've always been friends with Sammy, but we were able to do things more, face to face. Kevin Ross, you know, who's somebody else who I got a pleasure to work with last year, who's an amazing artist. If you guys have not checked out Kevin Ross's Drive 2, you guys need to. It's on all social platforms. I got to plug him because he really is that R&B guy. So, you know, even connecting with Troy Taylor, to Harmony Samuels, to WAP that, you know, it's just, you don't think that, like going back to what I said, you don't think that these moments are going to happen, but with hard work and consistency, like anything is possible. And then seeing the response, then when we kind of go along with industry conversation, I had no expectation. I just started pitching to people the idea, and those who came along the way, I was very shocked. But I think once we did that songwriter in that R&B room, I was like, oh shit. I said, this is deep. I said, this is deeper than deep, because then we had D Miles pop in the room. What, you know, D Miles is doing his thing with like Silk Sonic and Bruno and stuff like that. So it's like, you never know what you do, how much it's going to impact other people's lives and other people, like into what people do. So that's why, again, like I appreciate this moment. And then just with David Duane just being an artist and stuff like that, I think just it was so early on, you know, with people saying that I could not do it. Like I couldn't do all these things. But as I got older, and even now, as I'm getting ready to put out my album, finally, Unapologetically, first quarter of 2022, we're getting ready to re-release 3 singles, Nah Nah Nah, I Just Want to Fall in Love, and what's the other one called? Love Won't Wait on Us. And I've been working, like I've been working with a vocal coach. So it was even in those moments too of this year doing that work that I was like, oh, I can really do this. Like I knew that I could do it, but now just where I'm at in just the knowledge of so many different things, I'm just like, oh, I don't think that anybody quite wants to fuck with your boy. Like, and that's just being honest, but that's just being very modest and humble, because the ones that are, you know, the talent that everybody doesn't focus on, right? The underdogs, the one like yourself, there's so much there with us that people don't see, and there's so much that people do see as well. So it's like that happy medium that we were kind of talking about, going back to that Drake quote, that really should have people on the edge of their seats and hanging by a thread.
Come on, you know, the process is what you make of it.
Right.
You either allow that process to define you, or you allow that process to eat you alive. And once it eats you alive, you know, you're pretty much away from the process. And you have to embrace it. That's the biggest thing I've learned, is that you embrace what's going on. If you allow what's going on to eat you up, then you won't have anywhere to go. And that field won't be for you. And that's how you know it's not for you. It's okay.
You gotta make the best out of life,
Come on, that's every moment you have. What energy you put out comes back, and every bit of negative energy you put out, it definitely weighs on you. You take way more energy to be negative than you do to be positive.
Yeah. And positive should be the only direction that you take.
Come on, daily. I mean, we're all human. We're allowed to have things that piss us off, that get us upset, but you got to have that area where, like, you have the boomerang effect and come back to what, back to that vibe area where you feeling great. Like, and it's not a drug. It's just life. You got to appreciate breathing. You got to appreciate seeing things. And if you need to see more, go to some water.
Please drink water daily, people.
Absolutely. What has been some of your most rewarding moments in the game so far? I know we've talked about highlights throughout the time, but what weighs in when you get asked this question? It's like, fuck, he's making me choose, but I just want to know. And you're going to have so many more after this. So far.
So far, I think the most recent one that was the fact that Bossip included me into their male publicist post for National Publicist Day. I was very surprised because I was not expecting that to happen whatsoever. And, for me, I'm always that guy that doesn't get the proper recognition. And I don't care, because the work is enough recognition to speak for itself, but to be included in that list, because I didn't know that I was going to be included in it at all. And then just to see the response from people was very interesting. And then to see how many days it lasted. Like, it went for about a whole week, just about. I haven't seen my likes go up on Facebook like that in a while. I've not seen that many damn comments on my Instagram ever, not even on my damn birthday. So it was very interesting to see, because for me personally, it is I'm actually transitioning on the professional side into marketing, more so marketing and project managing. So I'm looking forward to those endeavors and just, being able to see, what projects that I'm going to be a part of. Because I do way more than what, publicists or public relations company should do. So for myself, I was like, let me just kind of layer back, but still bring myself forward in what I do. What my company offers, will still offer public relations. And, the phone keeps on ringing in that regard. But then, there's going to be people that are going to want the project managing per se versus wanting the public relations. I don't want to touch a press release no more. I don't care that much. Like, I love, and I've been saying this a lot recently too, like, candidly, I love being able to reach out to, like, these different writers and editors and different curators at platforms and just be like, hey, how you doing? And not come with a pitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a lot of people know how, like, pitching can really take a toll on you and it can weigh you down. And the fact that I've been doing it for so long, I'm just like, it's time to, do something different for once, but still being able to delegate those services to a team and then expand. So it's all about expanding as I step into 2022, and with this album coming out, not even just that, but then industry conversation coming back as well too. And then since now I'm in LA, we're going to be doing a lot of in-person things with On Air with Duane. So we're looking forward to that. So we're constantly producing different things as well too. So we might get our feet wet with some products too.
That's right. Hell yeah. Product placement, product movement. That's absolutely right. Where there's productivity, there's progress, there's elevation, and then there's also delegation. And I could definitely see where you have to delegate, and you definitely will curate a perfect team to get all those jobs done, because you know what right looks like.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that I want right to be what's acceptable, not what's unacceptable and what can be subpar, and it can just get along, because that get along stuff is not cool once you have had the experience and you know what certain things look like. Like, I love to be able to like just read through things and to be 1000% right. And I don't have to put my splash on it necessarily, but I always am going to find it that no matter what, for it to look like me, to walk like me, to read like me, I've got to put my magic on there somehow or another. Even in the editing structure of my show, like, I personally don't edit it, but how it's being edited is, a format that I created, and I wanted to look always consistent through each interview to each episode, even if we're repurposing an IG live to making it a part of, a full length show and stuff like that. It's just those attention to detail things that I would say that anybody going into entertainment or any industry in life, just make sure that you are on top of that part right there, because any little thing that looks wrong, people can see it. You may not think they can see it. I literally went back to some things from another episode, from like 3 months ago, and I was like, oh, we got to take this down and redo it, because I was just so quick. And being a perfectionist, you just want to make sure that everything is as it should be.
When you present things, you want it to be right. And that's the separation between Coca-Cola selling a 20-ounce bottle for $2.29 and Shasta selling it for 79 cents. It's the presentation, it's what you're seeing, it's what you're consuming. And the brand, the brand was developed. What is something people got fucked up or misunderstood about David Duane?
I think that part right there, that I actually give a fuck. Sorry to break it to people, I actually don't. And you know what? I think it really is so amazing to actually say that now, being in this stage of my life, to actually saying like that I don't care, because I really don't. Because there were so many times as I was growing up, going through school, caring what people thought about me, what sexuality I was, what type of music I liked, whatever it was. I care so much that I tried to like change in that moment. But then I realized, I said, what are you changing for? Who are you changing for? Are you changing for yourself? Are you changing for those who don't care about you? And I made personal evaluations of certain things that I was doing. Like, I was setting trend. Like, there was a lot of people that I went to school with that weren't wearing designer shit. Like, and then I started to see people start to do certain things like that. And then I was like, what am I worried about? You're wearing what I'm wearing. As simple as that is, it's like you're mocking, like you're mocking what I'm doing. And then I think, honestly, going back to talk about moments like that, when I wrote Nah Nah Nah, was that I didn't give a fuck moment, because I was like, oh, they think I'm not going to address it. They think I care. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm this. They're talking a lot of this. They're talking a lot of that, but they're not going to do anything. So even that record in itself, because I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea when it comes to music. Let's just be hands down honest, right? And that's anybody with anything that you do. But it gave me that confidence to say, you know what? Be the best you that you can be. Be unapologetic. And then that's where Unapologetic Blonde kind of formed its own self into its own brand. Like, people are like, what the fuck does Unapologetic Blonde mean? I mean, right now I don't have blonde hair, but it was very on point. I will have blonde hair again because the hair grows back quick, but it just all has a nice narration and story. So I just keep it on brand, keep it on story. But yeah, that's what people have to know, that I just do not give a fuck.
That's right. And you got 2 months to grow that hair out and get it back blonde again.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, and you don't give a fuck because you for sure took the hat off. Like, yeah, see?
Yeah, I don't. And it's crazy because I just posted a photo where my hair is cut. So people didn't actually know for a while. People actually don't know until they actually see me in person. So, because I've been posting pictures, and then I change my hair every other day. Not to say that I'm walking around rocking fake hair, but it's like you never know look wise what you're going to get. And I think that that's a big thing with people too. Like, stop trying to have people figured out. Like that's always got on my nerves. Stop trying to figure out that guy and that girl out. Let them be
Mind your
them.
business.
Mind your damn business. That's what like my girl Azion said when we did an interview, mind your business. And that's what I've literally been like chanting since I've gotten to LA. Like, just mind your business.
Come on, stay on your
Mind the business that pays you.
Come on. Stay on your path. They'll come to your path. Everyone else will, stay on your path. Run them over. What is something you take away from each interview you do?
The experience, just being able to experience people authentically, because we're just having a conversation, just like me and you are having a conversation right now. I call my interviews conversations. I like really dive in to them as a person. Like, funny enough, I had ran into Saronis Jackson at the mall a few weeks ago, and we'll probably be doing an interview soon. And I was just telling him, like, with me, it's about conversation. It's about like, how are you as a father doing with this pandemic? Like how has that shaped your mental in that capacity? Like those things, being able to actually hold a conversation and ask the right questions. And even if you're going to answer a racy question, this is what I tell people, right? It's all about how you ask the question. Going back to that whole delivery factor, because I can get somebody to say that they're in a relationship, but it's all about how it's being asked, where it's not like, oh, he trying to be in my business, but as in like, okay, I see what you did there. Nice. That was a nice little turn. That was a nice segue, but it's always so smooth. So I've just always been able to love the outcome of what those experiences have been. You just never know. Like, I did an interview with Jim Jones a few months ago, and Jim did not have the best signal whatsoever while he was in the car, but he kept coming back to make sure that conversation was finished. So you really do get surprised with people that you speak to. So a lot of times I go into every day, anything with no expectations. And that's like my biggest advice to people. Don't have any expectations. If you do, don't set them so damn high, because that's when you're going to get your feelings hurt. And that's when things are going to be like, oh, damn, I really, like, just let it flow as it should be, because it always happens in the way that it should.
Always have structure. Don't be afraid to improv. Don't be afraid to just, run off your feelings or emotion, but at the same time, keep your structure. Because like there's countless times where you can go in and then, know how you can transition out and go into your lines. And, that's the beauty of what we do. Because there's the whole goal is to get some bosses, but, outside of that, we get to be free range of creativity and free range of delivering, our interviews and delivering our products to the consumer so that they can have something to digest that's timeless.
Yeah. And even what I'll say too is, like, with doing interviews, like, it's always been about let that person tell their narrative the way that they want to. You know what I'm saying? Don't be caught up in the gossip of this was on this and this was on this and what are your thoughts? Like, we don't even talk about politics when it comes to my show. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about vaccines. We don't talk about, there's certain off-limit things that we don't do, because then it doesn't feel authentic. It feels like what everybody else is doing. And that gets kind of weird, hearing the same duplicate interview one after the other. It's like, okay, who did not do their research? You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta know, because I hear it a lot of times, and it's not to, shun anybody, but it's just going back to that whole factor of knowing what to ask. know what they've got going on. And even if you don't know what they've got going on, at least sound like you know what they've got going on.
Or ask.
Or ask.
Dude,
but you know what though?
Going on?
But you know what though? Don't ask what they got going on, because then it goes back, it defeats the purpose of doing the research.
No. It's the way you ask the question. And you already highlighted that.
True, it is.
Know, and for people that come on, like, I love to do my intro. Like, I realize my intro is something that separates me from other people. I realize that, you can get somebody in, break the ice with how you deliver the intro. And I'm like, boom. If I let them know I know about them from the jump, then, it can transition. But you have some people are real smooth. They know everything about them, but they'll ask the question still. So what do you do? Knowing that you're talking to the multi-platinum songwriter, producer, and, it's just those raw moments to hear how they explain themselves, which is dope.
Right. So I'm still stunned on the knowing 45 minutes out of outside of Philadelphia part when you do the intro.
Yeah, no, I did some research. Oh no, I did, and then I just recently went on tour with Omale, a Nigerian pop star, nice. Afro beats, and Omale went crazy, and so I got to have a whole new understanding of United States traveling, and so like boom, like it, what you do daily for yourself can definitely input your show. And I found ways to input it like, hey, no, now I've been over there.
Yeah. And it changes your perspective once you're able to travel in different cities, different states, different countries, different continents, and just have an understanding of, just so the way of life where it is in other places versus just being in like, your space, stuff like that. Cause I be in my room to myself when I'm in home in Delaware. And then that's literally what it's been during the pandemic. So being able to get out, go back to traveling and stuff like that and work has been like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it. So, it's all about what you're doing right now, but it's also about what you're doing next. I'm trying to get you to spill the beans. What you doing next? Is there something growing with Fox Soul? Is there something growing with Revo? Where are we going with everything?
I don't know, but you can, this is a Detavio or a James or, a Connie at BET, all my friends in high places. This is a question for them. So if they are watching, they know how to call me. I'm constantly developing new projects. So like I said, the album is coming out first quarter, and then we're going to be releasing singles top of January all the way through. And then that's going to translate into the album. The album's going to have videos. Unapologetic Blonde really has been a long awaited project. Like, people have been waiting for this project since I was in high school. So, and it took its time because I really needed to understand the music industry, the entertainment industry, and really know the business and how to do certain things. And most importantly, have the resources and have the contacts to help me do certain things, and just to hear the initial support from people, knowing that these next things are going to be amazing. I would love to see myself on the television screen very soon. I actually would love to do late night television. I would love to do that. I've always wanted to do daytime and late night. So I don't know if NBC wants to hit me up, somebody hit me up. But like I said, also too, industry conversation comes back top of 2022 as well. So there's a lot of things. And then going down the line and come fall and stuff like that, then there'll be another album, Unapologetic Blonde 2, which nobody knows, because there's a brewing lie that I've been telling people that it's my, what I've been saying, debut and final. That's a lie. So I want to just set the record straight that this music thing is definitely something that I take serious. It's what was my first love before anything else. I really thank God for the blessing to be able to have had the experience, and to have the experience and to be in so many different rooms, to know many different people. But You know, I'm taking full control here. So
Amen.
watch out, folks.
That's right. That's right.
Watch out.
Yesterday we were doing a music video. I produce music videos and I work with my friend Created by Blue. He does a lot of stuff for
Oh,
Blast.
dope.
Blast has blown up since, and we've been working like crazy. So yesterday we were with I Am Compton from Black Ink Crew Compton.
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess Brittany B's involved in there, involved in his career and what's going on with the show.
Shout outs to Brittany. She is killing it. Have you heard any of her music?
She played a couple of things while we were in the studio, like,
Yeah,
and because she's gonna have
she's
Blue.
doing a lot of work with Harmony Samuels.
Yeah, and so her and Blue's gonna do a music video for her, and so they were talking about it and going over things, and obviously I can't talk about it until
no,
all those things happen, but off air I got you.
Yeah, but I love the fact that you mentioned Brittany, because I actually met her I met her in April when I was on set for her Confidence music video. I'm actually in the video. If you look, you might see my little body, but you won't see my head. She's such a dope artist, and she's been wanting to really push forward with her music the way that she is now. So Harmony's my fellow Taurus brother. You know, he's been able to spearhead that project and just take it in the right direction that it needs to be.
That's
right. Shout outs to them.
But my point of bringing it up was that as she was talking about her songs, it made me start to do some research, like what all has she written? And then, the Legacy Grammy nominated. And then it took me back to your interview you had with Taj Mowry. I played football with Taj Mowry.
Oh, wow.
Pop Warner days. Pop Warner days.
That's another one of my Taurus brothers. He's amazing.
So, but something you had asked him was about, him working on music and songwriting. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, why work on songwriting when I can make movies out of these songs and ideas that I have? And so it led me to think, like, when is Brittany going to write a movie? Because she writes so many great songs. And then it leads me to ask you the same question. And that was the whole point of why I'm bringing it up, because I had to flip this. I wish Taj would ask you this question, because you're great at one, conveying yourself, but two, telling a story and getting the story right. So I want to know, when is that energy of writing going to go to the next level?
So I'm trying to get this book out. I've been saying this for years. I'm gonna put out my book. I need to hire a ghostwriter as well. So if any ghostwriters are out there, please hit me. I'm sure there's plenty of them. I want to do the book first, and then I want to translate it into a movie. But I've always had this dope idea of maybe it needs to be something that's on Broadway. I know that's like a big hope and dream, but I think, not saying I've had the hardest life, not saying I've had the best of life, but I've had a really great life growing up, a great story. I would love to see that on Broadway.
I will tell you, so Snoop Dogg, he had his life broken down into a Broadway play. And a part of that Broadway play is now 50 Cent's new show, Murder Was the Case. So, my whole point is that you're definitely on the right path. And, just don't be afraid to write more. Don't write everything that has to make sense of melodies. Sometimes write offbeat and let that story tell itself. Let that pen bleed. And I think that's, from my perspective, when I see a lot of your interviews and everything, I know that there's a bigger branch to your tree that's going to connect you to a whole different airway. And that airway is going to be beneficial to everyone that watches.
For sure. And for me, it's always been about the people. It's never been about me. I've always been a person about giving and just making sure that people's narrative is told in the best way. Like one of my AKAs for myself is the narrator curator, because like I'm really good at making sure that story is crafted, even with our urban affairs clients and stuff like that. Like just really making sure that everything just stays on point and on brand. But yeah, I love writing. I love writing. That's definitely one of my strong suits of talents, aside from just being able to host as well too. And me, my literal dropping bars. I tell people all the time, like, my rapping is better than my singing. So we'll hear a lot of that even in the future, when you ask about like what's next to come and stuff like that. So
definitely looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the first debut album. And then,
yes.
we're gonna let that marinate. And if you need music videos, tap in. Like I said,
I will.
Let's
because you're out here in LA too, right?
Actually, I'm in like an hour and a half north of you. I'm in a place called Bakersfield.
Oh,
but we're in LA 5-6 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, we work a lot, and it's a blessing. That's how, honestly, I get a lot of my content from my show. A lot of people I interview is I'm meeting them on sets. Like, I went from DMs to it was supposed to be on concerts. Bobby D, Snoop Dogg, they do a lot of concerts, and then COVID hit. I had to rethink and redo things, and then we elevated since.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, just being able to elevate and to just pivot and work, utilize what resources you have in the platform that you've already created to just continue to keep going. So congratulations and shout outs to you for just keep going, because I know myself that even running my little ship and stuff like that, it is not easy. I think that a lot of people think that the world of media is difficult, but it's hard. Like I said, you just really have to be able to put that work in, and you constantly do that. So shout outs to you for what you've been able to do. I need people to continue to watch what you're doing.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you. You have made it through the show. Before we close out, the floor is yours. Let them run up what they want to run up. Shout out what you want to shout out. Let them know where they can find you, where they can find your show, and do your thing, player.
Yeah, so I think everybody can just simply find me on Instagram. It's at David Duane. Twitter, we're fighting for my name. Very bad, but it's D Duane official. Yeah. And then also Facebook is David Duane official. And then the website will be officially launching soon, davidduane.com. That actually will take you to the music and stuff like that. So if you want to dive into what it's going to be, that's going to take you straight there. Check me out Tuesdays on air with David Duane, 10 to 12 Eastern Standard Time, 7 to 9 Pacific Time. I've gotten so used to really just running that like that. Just really stay tuned to like on air with David Duane. Like, and I tell people that constantly because God is doing his thing with that.
Amen.
He really is. And just the response of like people who we may see next year on the show is ridiculous. So follow On Air with David Duane everywhere, on all platforms. If you want to dive into Urban Fears everywhere. Industry Conversation is at Industry Conversation on Facebook, Instagram, Industry Convo on Twitter.
You need a YouTube page. I'm just saying.
Oh, I do. So I do have one. YouTube.com/David Duane official. And then, like I said earlier, we're working on having the On Air with David change to On Air with David, but right now it's mfweradio.com. We're going to turn me into like a little YouTuber. So that should be very interesting to see. So kind of like showing my day-to-day life, how I actually get ready, just to like the simple things, just kind of like give people like a little bit more personable side of me. Because people always like to think they know me online. And I'm like, you don't know me. You just seen me do a post and that was cool and all, but that's not me. Like, I'm in this bitch fighting and crying. Not like I'm a crier, but it's like there's like we've been talking about, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to even get to these greater moments. But yeah, so that's what I would say. And of course, again, thank you for having me. Thanks for reaching out. I definitely appreciate what you're doing. Keep killing it.
Thank you.
And everybody keep tuning into my man's show.
Absolutely. Contrast Uncut. Before we close out, I just, if you notice, they said over there, I got to have segments. And I'm like, bet for sure, but I'm not going to do segments like y'all. And I'm like, how do I keep that same energy and close out? The viewers knows it's coming. I'm going to hit you with it. You got any questions for me?
I don't have any questions today. I'm trying to tune out the music in the background right now. My bad.
All good. No, we all got to have ways to do things differently. And that's something I've learned is no one ever flips it back on the guest. And so.
Yeah. But let me ask you this now that you asked, what would you say is next for you and what you would want this platform to develop to be?
Next for me, I have another show coming out with I can't even say it. It's with neighborhood fools. It's basically I'm Mexican and Irish, and I got got a little percentage of Black in me, and like it's a variety of things in me. But my grandfather on my mother's side swam across the border, fought in World War II, and became a U.S. citizen, and so I've always wanted to embrace that side, and I have an opportunity to embrace it, but at the same time do some real raw interviews because I'm from the streets, and I feel like a lot of the narrative is not from a street narrative. It's from people asking questions and finding things out, but not actually being in the streets and having a perception of how they should ask the question, how they should make someone feel comfortable, and what part of it are you telling? And so that's something that's next. I'm looking forward to. As far as this show, I'm always trying to grow it. You definitely go up and you get opportunities. And when your show is being reviewed next to other shows and it doesn't happen, it just wasn't that time. And I've experienced that a couple of times and I just keep on going. I embrace that. I recognize there was something I can do and I'm doing it and I love it. Like this is something I get more passionate about everything is having these conversations with people and having that intellectual, knowledge is power, but when you get to use that knowledge, it's a superpower. And no other greater superpower than someone's testimony of what they've been through to success.
Wow. Well said.
On that note, it's Contrast Uncut. It's season 5. It's episode 41. I got to give a huge shout out to Uncle Snoop's Army, Dog, and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. I wouldn't be able to do incredibly dope shit like interview David Duane, and this brother dropped gems bigger than where he's from. I'm talking about them gems the size of the United States, North America, and this motherfucker. And he kept them going. He had them bars flowing. And I appreciate you coming on and just being a transparent and influential guests, because you definitely influence everyone that watched this show, whether they are any spectrum of the entertainment business. You gave them a way to know that they can progress and see something from what they're doing instead of thinking it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, that's what it's all about. As long as I am living my purpose with doing that, then I've done my work. Then I'm doing my work. So.
Amen. On that note,
reason to be here.